Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to this meeting of the Design Review and Historic Preservation Commission. It's 6 o'clock. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Goldberg? Present. Commissioner HAREN?
Present.
Commissioner SOHN?
Present.
Vice Chair JAHROMI?
Present.
Chair AMAR?
Present.
Thank you. I would like to point out that Commissioner Drake and Commissioner Randolph are absent.
Thank you. And let's please have a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
A roll call, please.
Commissioner Goldberg?
Aye.
Commissioner HAREN?
Aye.
Commissioner SOHN?
Aye.
Vice Chair JAHROMI? Chair AMAR?
Aye.
The motion passes 5002.
Thank you. Comments from the public, anything not on the agenda? Seeing none. Staff, do you have any comments?
I'll just 1 second to introduce our new planners to everybody. So on the far right, we've got Jacob, and we'll get him his nameplate, as well as Diane. So Diane started 2 weeks ago, and Jacob started yesterday. So want to welcome them to the team.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent calendar. We have item 2.1, receive the minutes from regular Design Review and Historic Preservation Commission meeting on August 13th, 2024. And do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 2.1, the meeting minutes from August 13th, 2024.
I second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Commissioner Goldberg?
Aye.
Commissioner HAREN?
Aye.
Commissioner SOHN?
Aye.
Vice Chair JAHROMI?
Aye.
Chair AMAR?
Aye.
The motion passes 4003.
Thank you. Moving on to the public hearing portion. Item 3.1, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve a sign permit and variance at 480 West Napa Street, including an action to approve categorical exemption of the state CEQA guidelines, accessory structures.
Madam, does she, sorry. Is this this is a public hearing as if we have to open and close it to the public? Sorry.
You're fine. So we will be doing a public hearing on this one again. So we will first do a staff presentation by Natalie,
Okay.
and she'll present the information, and then we'll have an opportunity for questions.
Thank you.
The applicant is potentially online. We're double checking to answer any questions that they may be able to as well. They do not have a presentation. And then after that, we'll open for public comment if there is any. I think majority of the people in the room are for their individual projects. So with that, I'll let Natalie go ahead and take it away.
Hello, everyone. We're bringing back before you the application for 480 West Napa Street for Wells Fargo Bank signage updates. As you know, it's on the corner of 5th Street West and West Napa Street. Here's a picture of the project site in case anyone forgot. The previous request included a total of 21 signs, 1 internally illuminated monument sign, 2 wall signs. The one along West Napa Street was proposed to be illuminated. The one along 5th Street West was not. And then 18 directional and informational signs spread throughout the property. And it was a total of 187.7 square feet of aggregate. The updated proposal that you'll be seeing tonight has a total of 16 signs, 1 internally illuminated monument signs, 2 non-illuminated wall signs along West Napa Street and 5th Street West, and 13 directional informational signs throughout the property for a total of 115.1 square feet. On August 13th, you gave them the opportunity to come back with a new proposal with the following suggestions: a reduction in a total amount of informational and directional signs, illuminated wall sign and illuminated monument sign to match the maximum size requirements per the code. The wall sign and monument sign should be reduced to the maximum size allowed if not illuminated. The illuminated monument sign is to only have white letters. Everything else was to be opaque. They also, you asked for Pantone colors, which they did provide to us. And then, was that 5? And then you asked for the specifications on the lighting for the monument sign. What they were able to provide for us was a reduction in the total number of signs from 21 to 16. They removed the illumination from the wall sign along West Napa Street. There was no reduction of size in that sign, so it's still the same size as originally proposed. The background of the monument sign is still translucent. They did not change that to opaque. The color samples that Jennifer just handed to you are all of the proposed colors that they're offering for their new proposal. There are 2 options for the yellow, as you see. So if you have any questions on those, the applicant may be able to speak to those. And then as for the specifications for the lighting, it will be the same as what's currently there. They're not changing the lighting installation. They don't have the specs on it, unfortunately, so we don't have that information. Due to the updated proposal, a variance is still being required, and we'll go over everything for the new proposal. The updated monument sign removed the yellow striping on the sides of the sign. Other than that, it's the same size, color, and shape. The new proposed sign along 5th Street West is the red vinyl that's in front of you today. It will be the same size as originally proposed. They did change the color of this wall sign. It's still exceeding the maximum size of a sign by 0.2. 48 square feet is allowed. They removed the illumination component, and they updated the colors to have a white background with red lettering instead of the opposite. It was red with white letters. The door vinyl is all still the same as the original proposal. The directional signs on the entrances of 5th Street West and West Napa Street have a new size proposed. Instead of being, I believe it was 20 by 36 total. Now they're 14 by 20 for the sign size. And they're going to be the same on both streets. And then the one along 5th Street West is being brought up closer to the curb where the original sign sits today. The parking signs, they were able to reduce in an overall size as well. This is, I know we wanted an example of what the sign would read, and they were able to provide that to us today. So I'll give you a second to look that over. Oops, too fast. And this was the size difference based on what's currently existing on site and what is being proposed. And they reduced the total amount of 10 of these signs to 5. So they did reduce a good amount there. The informational sign along 5th Street West for the exit only is the same as the original proposal. And there's one proposed wall sign for no smoking. And overall, for a total number of signs, they are still not compliant with the 3 maximum allowed signs. So they're still sitting at 16 proposed for the site. It exceeds both the total aggregate and the maximum size for a sign. The total frontage allows for 46 square feet, and the total proposed is 115.1 square feet, still requiring a variance. It does comply with all signs located on private property. The maximum size of the monument sign exceeds still by 0.7 square feet with the translucent illumination. The proposed internally illuminated freestanding monument sign is 32.7 square feet, where the maximum is 32. So a variance is still required for this project because of the overall number of signs, overall size of a sign, and the total size of illumination. So that's what we will be discussing here this evening. This project is exempt to CEQA per 15301 and 15311. So staff recommendation is if the Design Review and Historic Preservation Commission determines the findings can be met for the sign permit variance, then staff recommends approving the application for the sign permit at 480 West Napa Street, including action to approve categorical exemptions 15301 and 15311 for the state CEQA guidelines, subject to the findings and following conditions. All freestanding signs along West Napa Street and 5th Street West shall be located no closer than 6 feet from the public right-of-way. All monument signs located adjacent to the driveway shall be no taller than 40 inches tall, and all directional and informational signs shall be no larger than 1 square foot in size unless illegible. That concludes our presentation. We're available for questions.
Thank you very much. Are there questions for staff?
Madam Chair, I have a few, and I'm going to try and be brief. I know we have a long agenda, but thank you. I first want to state, as you've all heard me now a few times, the last few meetings, that my questions are for knowledge. They're not meant to be combative in any way. They're just for us to be armed with some knowledge, whether it be prehistoric or current. So I have some questions on the project similar to this one that was submitted several years ago, not the one from the last meeting. And I don't know if staff has answers to that, or if you have an idea. I have a few questions though. The last meeting there was a notion, or I became under the impression that a similar project was submitted by the applicants, i.e. Wells Fargo. I don't know who that would be, several years ago. Is that correct? Yes?
Yes, it is.
It is, okay. Does staff know, or I don't know if any of you were on the commission back then, do you know if any of those representatives who were part of that proposed project are involved with this project?
That I'm not aware of.
Okay. Jennifer, do you know?
Can you remind me what year it was?
The first one was in 2012, and then there was 2012, and then the building permit was in September of that same year.
Okay.
So it's 12 years ago, so
12
I'm
years
going to
ago.
doubt it. And then,
Sure.
so the other aspect is, yes, it went through this process, and the design review and 2012 did approve the variance for the signs that you see today on that property. We did correct in the staff report, and just to note, that wall sign that you see today is not illuminated. Looks like it would be, but it's not. So we did correct that. They are not illuminated signs, and they did modify that aspect as well.
Got it. Okay, so you've answered a lot of my other questions, which saves some time. So now knowing that it did come before this body, it was approved. In our last meeting, I got the impression that there might have been some items that were implemented after, and you might have just said this, but after it was approved by the city.
So I have up the staff report from last time. Would
Please.
you like me to read it?
Would you mind?
On May 15th, 2012, Design Review Commission approved the sign program for Wells Fargo Bank for one two-sided freestanding monument sign measuring 32.77 square feet per side with internal illumination, one 33.54 square foot wall sign without illumination, and one 46.37 square foot wall sign without illumination. So what's was previously approved is a little bit smaller than what they're bringing back before you today.
Previously approved 12 years ago.
Correct.
Okay. thank you for that.
Mhm.
What is the process when something is approved by this body, or i.e. the city of Sonoma, and something else was implemented other than what was approved?
So if they come forward with a building permit for something that's not consistent with what was approved, we'll bring it back to design review or have them modify it so that it meets the approved. So when you look at your findings, in the conditions of approval, we specifically state in the conditions of approval that it will reflect whatever is permitted, will reflect what is approved at this hearing.
Got it, okay. So did that take place?
So I don't want to harp on what was.
I
So we're moving forward in
Agreed.
a new project and a new process and new people all around.
No, and I appreciate that, and these are the reasons why I'm asking. As we are approving things, I want to make sure that what we're approving is what is done. And so I just wanted, and I agree with you. So I feel comfortable. You've answered my questions. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Thank you, staff. Is the applicant available?
thank you, Madam Chair.
Gustavo, are you on the Zoom call? And are you available for questions? If you are, can you raise your hand on Zoom? Okay, can you hear us?
Could you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great.
Hello, Gustavo.
Can you hear me?
Thank you for your resubmittal of your proposal. At this time, I'd like to ask if there are questions from the applicant from the commission.
No questions. I just wanted to make note that a lot of the signs that we're trying to get approval for are basically like for like. In terms of the monument sign, we are only showing a reface. But other than that, no, none on my end.
Thank you so much. And are there questions from our commission?
Gustavo, just a question. When the commission had asked for all of the directional signs, the reduction from 18 to 16, and it was asked to be within the 1 foot or 12 by 12, was there a reason that that wish or request was not able to be granted?
Yes, so according to our client, it was due to the legibility. We made those signs as small as possible without sacrificing the legibility of those signs.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner JAHROMI, did you have a question?
No.
Okay, thank you. Gustavo, I have one question, please. On the side facing Sonoma Market, there was a color change from white to red since last time. I was wondering, what were your thoughts on that design change?
You know, yes, so I was aware that that changed. I'm not entirely sure why the change was. I was trying to get a Wells Fargo representative on here, and I found out this afternoon that no one was available. My best guess is they decided to go red, but I don't have the substantial information to answer that.
Thank you. Further questions? Do we have any public comments? Seeing none in the room. Oh, excuse me. Please state your name.
Neil Caldwell, I'll design premium signage. I've been designing and building signs in the Valley since 2006, and after seeing numerous applications, submitting dozens for myself and clients here in the Valley, I'm really surprised that the client is still proposing a essentially glowing red box for their monument sign. It isn't something that I want to see in town at night when I drive by. If they're refacing and they're trying to do it as a cost savings measure to just apply new vinyl over it, they can effectively get the same daytime result by just applying red opaque vinyl. So that would be a film that doesn't allow for the light to go out except for the locations where the white lettering is, and I think that would be an improvement to the design. That's all.
Thank you so much. Any other public comments? Yes, please. And state your name for us.
Hi, thank you, Cliff Merrill. I just noticed on the entry sign on Fifth Street West Side that lettering looked pretty small for that particular sign for viewing, if you're a driver coming in. My comments, thank you.
Thank you. Any public comment? Okay, I'll go ahead and close the meeting to the public and bring it back to the commission for discussion. Commissioner SOHN?
How did you know? In the interest of moving forward, and being a new project, I think there was a lot of considerations. A lot of the things we asked for were submitted. I too share the same sentiment, as I know he's not here, but Commissioner Drake did share his concern with the red sign and the OPEC. And what he would like to see is similar to what was said in public comment. So I just had a clarification question of Commissioner HAREN. Your question to Gustavo, was that regarding that sign? Or a different sign?
No, it was regarding all directional
Okay,
signs. The request to be within.
Can you remind me what was denied? What did what were you referring to? I mean,
So all the directional signs, we had asked them to be within 12 by 12,
Right.
and then that wouldn't apply
Directional
to their
signs.
total aggregate, and that request was not met.
got it. Thank you
Due
very
to
much. Thank you for the
visibility
clarification.
concerns.
Thank you. So I just bring up some of the questions, Madam Chair and Commission members, that I had regarding, the old proposal from 12 years ago, because that was a concern of mine, the last meeting. And I do believe that some of you shared some of the similar concerns, that we would be setting a precedence of approving something, kind of give an inch, take a mile. I'm all for, moving forward with the project, but I just want to make sure that what we approve today, that there's going to be some oversight to make sure that that is actually what is implemented after approval. So, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Goldberg?
I agree with both public comments that were made about the red, and that was my one thing when I looked through the packet, is I thought that the font was a little bit too small. They have more room to increase that on that directional sign heading into the parking lot. So that would be one recommendation I'd like to make.
Thank you. Vice Chair JAHROMI?
Well, in general, I tend to agree with approval of this application with the conditions that it stated. Although the color red is so bright, but I mean, it's a color, and it's a vivid color. From my point of view, I have no objection to that specific color. And in regard to the size of directional signs, 12-inch is mandatory, but also it states it has to be eligible. If the eligibility is the concern, so exceeding 12 inches doesn't bother me. And also the number of signs, maybe there was a couple of more directional signs that is allowed, and if those are to the interest of public, I'm all for it. That's it.
Thank you. Commissioner HAREN?
I feel similar to Commissioner JAHROMI in regards to color and signs for legibility. Where I still feel the same as I did last meeting is to reduce the total square footage of total illumination. There's a reason why there's a rule for that in the city, and I agree with staff's second suggestion on here to reduce that total square footage. whether that's the opaque background, the reduction of size, how that gets back to what is like our sign aggregate for illumination. I support that suggestion, and I would like to move forward with asking Wells Fargo to submit that again to sit within our requirement and not to exceed the maximum aggregate for illumination specifically. So that's the one point that I am still liking to kick back to Wells Fargo for a resubmission.
Thank you. I agree with my fellow commissioners, and Gustavo, I want to thank you again for being willing to make modifications since the last meeting, and I think we're getting closer. What I would be willing to accept as conditions of approval would be, I would be willing to accept a variance to allow the number of signs to be increased. I would like size compliance on the square footage and the aggregate for the rest of the signs and the illumination. I would like to see the sign facing Sonoma Market change back to the white lettering, and I would like to see the illumination go from transparent to opaque. And finally, I would like to suggest on the monument sign that you follow the similar design with the white background and red lettering instead of a red background and white lettering. That would be my that would be my suggestion to make everything look more consistent and harmonious. And that's all I have to suggest at this moment. Thank you again.
Madam Chair, I have one more question, if I'm allowed to ask the applicant the question.
Yes, please.
I'm just curious as to the reduction from 21 to 16. Where did they come up with that number?
Do you understand the question, Gustavo?
Sorry, hi Gustavo, thank you.
Hey, no, you're fine. Hey, how are you? Yes, from what I understand, I believe that the reduction came from the directional signs. In terms of the main signs, so the building sign, or the two building signs and the monument signs, those were untouched. So a lot of the reduction came from the directional signs.
Thank you very much. Just for clarification, staff, does directional also mean the ones that are on the light posts for parking? Okay, thank you.
The answer is yes.
And if I may, I know that the client prefers to have total illumination on that existing monument sign. However, they would be okay to opaque the red. That way, at night, the only thing that would be illuminated would be the copy. And I do also want to make note that if this gets approved, we will be submitting a Title 24, which is basically a requirement that the lighting within the sign reduces, I believe it's by 70% at nighttime.
So it would need to meet the energy compliance requirements. So the monument sign that you see there, when we did our calculation, if the rest of the sign is opaque, then the letters are what's illuminated, and that would meet the illuminated size. The square footage requirements for non-illuminated are still going to be exceeded by all the signs. So I just want to make sure that all of you are on the same page and are in agreement about what we're asking them to change at this point. And if you want, and so this is going to be the question, is do you make it a condition of approval? And so this is a question for you, Gustavo, too. Do we make it a condition of approval, or do you want to come back with what is being suggested with another design change once you have a chance to go ask Wells Fargo?
Got it. So for us, we ideally would want to get approval for basically what we're showing now. There is some wiggle room that the client did provide, like opaquing the background on the monument sign. we already reduced our proposal from 21 signs, which was previously approved in 2012, to 16 signs total. If there's a way to try and find means for approval with the condition of the monument sign, but allowing, I'm not 100% sure how many feet we are over in terms of the maximum allowed, but from what I understand, I believe that it was a couple square feet. So we would basically be asking for approval of for a little more square footage on the building signs.
So to clarify, it exceeds by 0.7 on the monument sign. The illuminated portion would comply if with the rest, the red was opaque. This sign was compliant. This is the side facing Sonoma Market. This is the one that changed from white to red. So I'm just gonna go one by one real quick. So that sign, I think that sounds like you guys are all in agreement, opaque, and it's pretty much the same frame and everything as last time. So make it opaque, and it's 0.7 over, okay? All right, next sign is this one, went from white to red. I don't remember you all having too many concerns about this one, and I think it meets the size requirements. So this one's just about color that changed. I know that the white was preferred before, but now they're asking for red. This is not illuminated. Any commissioner thoughts, questions about this? One, concerns?
This doesn't have I don't know what you all would know, a back, it's just the letter.
No, it's just letters, it's
Just
pen letters. Well, I guess it's vinyl. So, they're vinyl. And then this is the sign that is it's 0.2 square feet over. There is no illumination. The proposed colors last time, if I remember correctly, was the red on top of the brown or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Chair AMAR, can you please say what your concern was about this sign that you were just stating, because I missed it.
This sign, I would like to see it reach size compliance, and that was my only comment on this sign.
Madam Chair, is the current sign in size compliance? And they're asking for, okay. Maybe ask staff, maybe it'll be better.
So they had reduced it, so you can see, barely you can see it.
They reduced it.
And they reduced it from its original size that it is today. I think lengthwise.
Yeah.
So that's what's being proposed. And then I think the rest you all are in agreement about. So what I'm hearing is conditions of approval is the opaque on this. Reduction of the signs, that would be, if they were going to be illegible, those would be fine, but if we could reduce to the 1 square foot, increasing font size on entries to basically fill the space and allow for more visibility. This one was okay?
I would like to suggest a condition that it changes back to white as originally proposed.
Okay, we'll add that, and then somebody will need to make a motion, but we'll give you all your conditions. And then this one, just to reduce by 0.2. Okay. Okay, Gustavo, this commission can make a motion with the conditions of approval that we just stated, or do you want to come back to a future hearing date after you get a chance to talk to Wells Fargo?
Yeah, so I believe that we would be okay. I mean, if it's just a matter of just to reiterate, so the condition would be one for the monument sign to have opaque background, two for the sign on what's that street? On
It would be Fifth Street West.
No, it's on Napa.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry, yeah, on Napa, that needs to be reduced by 0.2 square feet.
Correct?
And then the request for the sign on Fifth Street to be back to the white copy, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And then increase the font on the directional signs.
Yeah, in terms of increasing the font, that shouldn't be an issue. And the point two, is that anything, I mean, I guess what we're wanting is, if possible, I mean, point two isn't very much. I don't anticipate this being an issue for us, but if the commission is able to approve that point two, then that would be fine as well.
I don't think I understand.
Gustavo is asking if they can keep the size with the 0.2 exceeding with the variance.
For this sign.
For the sign that you see.
I recommend fellow commissioners, there's a total package that needs to be submitted and to stick within sign guidelines, and it should be reduced by the 0.2.
I don't know.
Thank you.
Thank you, I agree.
So it sounds like the commission is wanting to reduce it still by 0.2. So do you want to take this back for one more sign package?
So if it's just a matter of reducing it by 0.2, our client will reduce it by the 0.2 in hopes of getting approval today.
Okay. So now, if we can help you with the conditions of approval, if somebody wants to make the motion.
Mm-hmm.
You should. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve, hold on, with the conditions of approval, to approve variance, is it S22414, item 3.1 on public hearing agenda. Did I do that right? It's been a little while since I.
Sure, and subject to the conditions.
Subject to the conditions.
Of approval as stated
Yes.
previously by staff and
Thank you.
Thank you. May we have
Thank
a roll
you.
call, please?
Commissioner Goldberg,
Aye.
Commissioner HAREN,
Aye.
Commissioner SOHN,
Aye.
Vice Chair JAHROMI,
Aye.
Chair AMAR.
Aye.
The motion passes 5002.
Thank you. Moving right along to item 3.2, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve a sign permit and variance at 630 2nd Street West, including action to approve categorical exemption of the state CEQA guidelines, accessory structures. May we have the staff report, please?
Yes. So this is for the fire station located at 630 2nd Street West. It is located across the street from the the Whole Foods Shopping Center. It has a approximate frontage of 220 feet linear, and the whole site is approximately 1.5 acres. Oh, I also forgot the zoning is public facility. This is what the current site looks like. There is no current monument sign located there. It was taken down when they did the removal for their landscaping plan that was approved previously by this commission. They are requesting today to update the freestanding monument sign that was there to match the colors and style of the existing building, and a variance is being requested for the maximum size of the sign. The proposed sign is one two-sided monument sign that measures 11 feet wide by 5'10" in height. And it's roughly 64 square feet per side. The front will be internally illuminated. It'll be the fire logo up the top, and then the Sonoma Valley Fire District will be the only things illuminated, as you can see in the smaller rendering. The rear side of the monument, we are not considering a sign due to the fact that they're proposing a memorial wall. They have two options prepared layout-wise, and there's no illumination proposed for this side of the sign. This complies with our sign code because it's only one freestanding monument sign, so it's under the maximum amount of signs allowed. It complies with the overall frontage because we're just considering the front a sign. The overall allowed is 94 square feet, and that front proposed side is 64 square feet in total. The monument side, this exceeds the maximum size of a monument sign by 32 square feet on each face. So it does not comply. It does comply with the illumination. The freestanding monument sign is proposing 19.3 square feet of illumination total. The findings for this, the variance is required due to the maximum size of the overall sign. And then this is exempt to CEQA per the CEQA guidelines of 15301 and 15311. Staff recommends that if the Design Review and Historic Preservation Commission determines the findings can be met for the sign permit variance, then staff recommends approving the application for the sign permit at 630 2nd Street West, including the action to approve a categorical exemption pursuant to 15301 and 15311 of the state CEQA guidelines, based on findings and subject to the conditions of approval. Thank you. Staff is available for any questions.
Thank you. Questions for staff? Seeing none, is the applicant available? Can you please state your name for us again?
Neil Caldwell, well-designed premium signage. Thank you to staff for preparing the report and the commission for hearing this item tonight. I'm also joined by Bob Norbaum from the Sonoma Valley Fire District. So we're excited to update the look of the sign for Station 1, which also serves as offices for Sonoma Valley Fire District. There's also a portion of this building that is dedicated to a fire museum. The addition of the memorial wall on the backside, I think, is an important piece to this. Not really visible to the public, except for, when there's gatherings or if people want to walk up into this new sort of almost courtyard type feel that has been developed through the landscape plan. Signage was designed to basically match the scale of the property and the building. So we wanted to just go with that. We went with colors that match the rest of the firehouse. The sign will be wrapped. The top cap as well as the sides will actually be wood. So it's not quite shown in this detail, but that will be redwood stained out to match the timbers that extend from the rest of the building. So it'll have a little bit softer look than it appears on paper. And I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission has.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the applicant? Yes.
Any reason you can't reduce the size of the sign to meet the requirement?
If we did, the function of the memorial wall on the backside would be greatly diminished. As it is, we're looking to create a wall, I believe it's 5'10" high. In order for people to actually view and kind of engage with what we're planning to put on the backside of it, we feel like we kind of need that minimum height to achieve the purposes of the display. Additionally, we needed to have significant enough lettering for people to identify the fire station as a place of I think Bob probably has the best terminology for this.
It's a safe refuge site.
Safe refuge site.
And so, yeah, through the years, I've been there since the station was first designed, and the sign that we had originally was very small, and people would, when we first moved from Patton Street over to 2nd Street West, people would drive by like, I didn't realize this is a fire station, because it's very small footprint on the street side, but usually when we see a fire station, you're looking for the fire trucks, right, and the big doors and all that. Well, this was very small footprint that we had facing the street. So all of the doors and fire engines and all that are down the alley if you've been to the firehouse. So through the years, it's been very difficult for people to actually know it's a fire station. They drive right by it and like, oh yeah, we drove by it. So part of the reason that we wanted to do this with the landscaping project is we took a look at our old sign that was not very visible. They didn't really put very good lettering on it, and it was not illuminated. And felt that it was the right thing to do to get a sign. People still come there to report emergencies. It's a lot less now with cell phones, but we are a public agency serving the public, and we felt that we need to have something that's highly visible for the public. And they need to find us. They need to find us usually. So the memorial wall is also something that is becoming very common in fire departments to honor those who've served and died in serving the community. So we also felt Chief Aker was really, this was his idea, was our fire chief was to get some sort of recognition to those that have served the community throughout the years. And we felt that this size with Neil here designing it would suffice for us to, if it's a long-term member that's served this community for many years, they're going to be recognized in the memorial wall. So that's why it's a little bigger than what is actually allowed. But I'm fully confident that I don't think the community is going to really have too much of an issue with their fire station having a sign like that. So.
Thanks.
Further questions?
Not a question, but more of a statement. One question. Mr. Caldwell, did you also do, there was a hotel that was here recently. They're doing their signage.
Sonoma Valley Inn?
Correct.
Yes.
That was you. So good
Yes,
to
sir.
see you again, sir. I wasn't on the commission then. I was sitting in the audience. But I'm sure you all didn't do this on purpose, but how can we say no? Because tomorrow's September 11th. So you kind of scheduled this at the right time. I do have a question regarding the sign, the size. So the monument is there's two options, and so both are needed. Thank you. Both are needed at that length with both design options, and I guess what I'm asking is on option one, is that just like engraved brass?
That's the plan.
Okay.
Yep. And a lot of this also just comes down to what kind of content we end up developing with the folks at Sonoma Valley Fire District. So this honestly was more of like, from our perspective, since this is not public facing portion of the sign, this is more to be kind of developed down the road as we hopefully get this approval and then put into shape what this would look like.
Okay, so then one more additional question. I said this wasn't going to be a question, but are these automatically going to be, do you have the names already you want to put on there and then there's going to be some blank? Or is it a ceremony? How does that work?
So we're still trying to figure that out. But yes, we already have some names that we'd like to put up there of folks that have served for 30 plus years. Okay. And some of their family members are still serving with us, from being volunteers to, paid staff to where we are today. So we kind of felt that we need some space. And the other thing it's not quite on there, but we want to do in the middle, what's called LODD. It's called line of duty death. And we hope to never, ever have to fill that out. But that's also, so we've looked at other monuments that other fire departments have done. There's a memorial in Sacramento that's really,
Beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. And that's why we kind of set on what works for us in Sonoma as we continue to grow. When I started, we were one station there on Patton Street, and now we go all the way to Kenwood. So we're growing, but we still, that Station 1 here is our administration. It's our hub of our department, and we really felt that this belongs here in the city. And we're also going to probably put some bench. I know we are. We're going to.
That was my next question.
We're looking at putting a bell behind this. The flagpole's already there. And also some benches, and make this an area where we can have family members there to honor their loved ones as well. So there's
That
more
was-
to it.
Thank you for answering, because that was
Yes,
gonna be
this-
my next question.
this is
It's
step
really
one.
for the community.
Yes.
What was gonna be behind the wall?
Yep.
What was the purpose of it not being public facing, so on and so forth?
Yep.
Well, thank you for all that you do.
Thanks.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions for the applicant? Thank you so much. Any public comments? No more public comments? Then I will close the meeting to the public and bring it back to the commission for discussion. Commissioner Herron?
I feel a little blushing after my last comment of the previous agenda item, of the .2 variance. With that being said, I do have a different take on this. I think, first of all, I'd like to thank you for your service. This is a building that's in the community, is such a pillar of the community, signage, visibility. I think if the head of the fire department is telling us that the size is what he and the team view as necessary to be visible at all hours, to be that place that people can go and find refuge or go for help, then I am here to approve the signage despite being exceeding by the 32 square feet on each side.
Thank you. Vice Chair JAHROMI?
Thank you. I too really applaud you for that approach. It's a very visible, nice sign for public to know where you are, what you're doing for the community. And also, I would, if I may, I would like your option 2 for the presentation wall, because it's more visual than just letting people can see the pictures, and then it would be more exposed to the public understanding of those people who serve the community.
Thank you. Commissioner Goldberg?
The original sign, I believe, was masonry, right? Was it not engraved? Lovely, but probably too subtle for your purposes, and definitely not visible. And short, yes. 5 feet 10 is really tall, especially for me. But I feel like it's very necessary. Given your setback of your building, you're even less visible, as you had pointed out. So this sign becomes even more important from a visibility standpoint and the illumination. So I feel like it's a very good addition and definitely needed.
And Commissioner SOHN?
I'll just end by, again, thanking you all for what you do, and I agree with my fellow commissioners' comments. As someone who didn't grow up in California and in Florida and moving to the North Bay 3 years ago, I just have to say I understand the importance now, probably more than I ever did, of recognizing our fallen heroes. So it's very rarely that I ever go against our first responders. And I guess I'll just, to lighten the mood, say if Wells Fargo wants to sort of prove something, they should probably put a monument on their sign. So, thank you.
I agree with my fellow commissioners. I've really become more open to the size of the sign through both of your comments, and you have the most creative fire chief, and I always enjoy hearing what he proposes next. So it's not only a sign, but it's going to be a little gathering place, and I understand how it's going to be very integrated into the building as a whole. I really like the finishes and the materials you chose, and I would accept the variance as proposed.
I'd like to call the question. Motion to approve.
Yes, please. Any second?
I second the motion to approve.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Goldberg?
Aye.
Commissioner Herron?
Aye.
Commissioner SOHN?
Aye.
Vice Chair JAHROMI?
Aye.
Chair AMAR?
Aye.
The motion passes 5002.
Thank you. Item 3.3, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve a sign permit and variance at 31 East Napa Street, including an action to approve a categorical exemption of the state CEQA guidelines. Staff report, please.
Good evening.
This project site is on the Plaza Park, across at the southeast corner at 31 East Napa Street. The zoning use is commercial. It's within the downtown district planning area and is within the National Historic Landmark and Downtown Retail District. So, and while the building was built in 1903, the structure is not a historic structure. So at the project site is an existing single-story commercial building built of ashlar stone and resurfaced later with stucco and a false front roof with Spanish tile. The building is subdivided into 2 tenant spaces, one pan glass cellars and the other sausage emporium, and we are talking about the signage for the sausage emporium this evening. So the request is to replace all the existing signage for the business to enable a rebranding, including the existing wall, awning, and door signs. The request is to install approximately 40.7 square feet of signage, and that's gross, not net. There are some reductions to that. First would be the wall sign above the entrance at 27.5 square feet with the new name of the business called Mosaic and logo. The next would be the hanging sign visible to pedestrians on the sidewalk, 1.25 square feet on each side, which amounts to 1.88 square feet net. The remaining 3 signs are vinyl affixed to the front glass of the restaurant. The main window would be 9 square feet and feature the new logo of the business. The door vinyl with a business name and logo at 1.33 square feet, and another sign 1 square foot with the hours of the business on the side light to the front door at 1 square foot, and that would be exempt from requiring a sign permit. And the request tonight is for a variance for more than 2 signs. So I'm going to detail the proposed signs. The first one is the hanging sign, which will be, as said, 1.25 square feet on the side, or 2.5 square feet total. When reduced to 0.75 of its total size as required by the code, the resulting aggregate signage from the hanging sign is 1.88 square feet. And the sign would be in Hudson Bay blue and matte gold. The plans show that it will hang more than 7 feet from the surface of the sidewalk, and a condition of approval will be applied to require that. The next sign is the new wall sign to replace the existing Sausage Emporium sign. The wall sign features the restaurant name mounted in individual letters to the building face, and a logo with as a mandala centered on a fork above it. The color of the logo and letters is Hudson Bay blue. The exterior paint of the building will not be changing. And I also want to draw your attention to the awning sign that says Cafe, Marketplace, and Bar. That sign would be removed. And the remaining 3 signs to talk about this evening are the vinyl mounted on the street-faced glazing. The mandala logo will be reproduced in sections and affixed to the folding panda window. The logo and business name will be reproduced as the wall sign above on the glazed front door, and the hours of the business will be displayed on the side light to the right of the door. All window vinyl will be colored matte gold. So the number of signs, the project does not comply in the number of signs in that there are 3 signs proposed, and there are a couple of conditions of approval for other aspects of the project to reduce the number of signs that require a sign permit to 3. The aggregate sign area proposed is 39.71 net. This includes those conditions of approval to reduce the window and door sign sizes to 1 square foot to result in an aggregate of 29.4 square feet net. The project is all on private property. The projecting sign complies with the requirements of the code in that it is over 7 feet from the sidewalk and no more than 4 square feet on the side. no illumination is proposed as part of the project. The window signs have a requirement that they be not more than 20% of the window, and gold lettering is exempt from the aggregate sign area. So with those two requirements in place, the window vinyl occupies 31% of the window area. So we're proposing a condition of approval to reduce the window vinyl to 20% of the window area to comply with that requirement. The color exempts it from the aggregate for the total signage of the project. And to reiterate, signs less than 1 square foot are exempt. So the hours vinyl is exempt as proposed. The door vinyl, we propose to impose a condition of approval that reduces it to 1 square foot to allow it to also be exempt. So with the conditions of approval recommended by staff, the project complies with all of the basic sign findings. And as with the conditions of approval recommended, the project will also comply with all of the variance sign findings. A draft of all the findings is included with the staff report. The project is eligible for a Class 1 categorical exemption to CEQA. Staff recommends that the sign permit and variance can be approved and action taken to approve the categorical exemption if the following conditions of approval are included. So all vinyl decals shall be colored gold. The door and doored skylight vinyl decals shall be reduced in size to no more than 1 square foot in area. The vinyl decal on the folding panda window shall be reduced in size to 28.8 inches on a side for no more than 5.76 square feet, which would comply with the 20% requirement for window signs. And the total square footage of installed signage shall not exceed a maximum of 37.2 square feet. In 2019, there was a previous approval for signage at this location, which allowed greater than the amount of signage that this site would be allowed. And so the new proposal would come in with reduced amount of signage under what was previously permitted, but in excess of what would be allowed if it was a new sign proposal. So staff is available for questions, and the applicant is here in the audience.
Thank you. Questions for staff?
If you go back to that analysis slide that says if gold no, the item number 5 that says no more than 20% of window exempt from aggregate sign area if gold, what that means?
Yeah, so we saw this in a previous recent for Trove, if you recall that sign permit. Gold lettering, where there's a specific exemption in the code that allows for gold lettering on a sign to be exempted from the aggregate of signage applied to a frontage. So utilizing that exemption, gold lettering can be removed from the aggregate. However, it is still must comply with the other requirements, including that the window sign not exceed 20% of the size of the window.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so sorry, may I? It's the same question, but this may not be the best time to share this with you. I'm colorblind. So, gold like gold or gold leaf? Because the color in the didn't look gold leaf to me.
It's going to be matte gold, and I think the applicant can speak more to like the tone, but it's going to
Okay.
be a matte metallic.
So we're referring to gold matte
Mhm.
leaf. Okay. Sorry, thank you.
Further questions? All right, thank you. Is the applicant available? And please state your name for us.
Hi, my name is Miranda Ives. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Miranda.
Yeah.
Would you like to add any comment about the project this time?
No, we're just looking to start a new project in our same space, and we need to tell everyone. So signage is really important. We've worked closely, and we didn't even know gold was something that you guys thought was really great. We suggested it, and we were delighted to hear that Sonoma likes that. So otherwise, we're happy to comply with any variations that need be in terms of sizing for the decals, and that's really it.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Does the commission have questions for the applicant? Seeing none, are there any public comments? Thank you so much, Miranda.
Thank you so much, all of you.
Seeing no public comments, I'd like to close the meeting to the public and bring it back to the commission for discussion. Commissioner Sohn?
Just one question for staff. We're approving a variance for the sign to be larger at the top.
We're approving a variance for more than 2 signs for a business.
Okay, so nothing to do with the size of the sign?
No.
Okay, thank you.
And Commissioner Sohn, would you like to add any more comment for the commission discussion? Okay,
I've
thank
talked
you.
too much. Thank you.
Alrighty. Commissioner Goldberg?
It's a beautiful logo, and I think it will be gorgeous. I don't have any problems with approving the variance for the total number of signs.
Thank you. Vice Chair JAHROMI?
I think the application is straightforward and pleasing, and I'm glad that they're reducing the size of the overall signage on top of the wall and simplifying it to one very legible signage. And I don't have any problem with approving the variance for increasing the number of signs to 3.
Thank you. Commissioner HAREN?
Could you go back so that we could see what the reduction for the door sign to reduce it to be the 1 square foot? I think it was 2 slides forward. It was only over by a certain amount. No, it's listed.
Oh, my text. That's it.
I think it was within one of the first 3 slides. I just want to point out that that door vinyl at 1.33 square feet, to reduce it to 1 square feet to then get us back to city code, or the 2 signs, that's not that much of a difference. So I'm going to take, I have a different take on this. I would like to move forward with staff's recommendation, reducing the door vinyl to then have that at the 1 square foot, so then we can be with the 2 signs. And secondly, I am going to suggest, also I agree with staff, to reduce the signage on the window sign from the 38% or whatever it is, back down to city code at the 20% of the windows still in gold leaf. I think your logo's beautiful. I think the whole building, I love that building. I just think we're so close to hitting city code that to me, it feels like those 2 points, I agree. I think we should stick with staff's recommendation, and I think it'll still be visible and beautiful.
Thank you. I agree with my fellow commissioners. I would approve the reduction of size on the window and door to make it more compliant with code. I would give my personal recommendation to do away with the window decal, period. I think that it distracts a little bit from the beautiful facade and this clean, straightforward design that you have going on, and it's going to take away from the top when you're not going to notice the top as much. This beautiful blue mandala on the top, I think it's kind of going to distract from one another. And I think the nature of the windows being long and vertical, the roundness and some of the symmetry of the mandala is going to get broken up and maybe not translate as clearly as you may have intended. Really happy with all of the gold choices. And again, the mandala design is on the door as well. And so I don't personally think that the large window vinyl is needed at all and would actually improve the look of the facade. And that's all I have to say about this. So would a fellow commissioner like to craft a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item 3.3, subject to conditions and findings of approval of staff's recommendation. Okay, do I need to summarize it?
Thank you. May I have a second?
Did better than me. I'll second that motion. Thank you.
And roll call, please.
Commissioner Goldberg,
Aye.
Commissioner HAREN,
Aye.
Commissioner Sohn,
Aye.
Vice Chair JAHROMI,
Aye.
Chair AMAR.
Aye.
The motion passes 5002.
Thank you. I'd like to ask the commission, does anybody need a quick break? Is everybody good? All right, we'll continue on to item 3.4, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve a design review application for a remodel and additions to an existing single-family residence and construction in the residential low-density zoning district located at 250 5th Street West, including action to approve a categorical exemption pursuant to section 15303 of the state CEQA guidelines. Staff report, please.
So the project site at 250 5th Street West was developed in 1951. The general plan land use is low-density residential. The zoning is low-density residential. It's within the northwest planning area. It's not within any overlays, and it has 70 feet of frontage on 5th Street West. So the existing project site has a 1,087 square foot single-story, single-family residence with an attached one-car garage, a porch under, a roof overhang with the vertical wood post supports. The exterior of the structure is white or cream colored stucco on the bottom and on the backs and sides, and there's a section of horizontal siding at the front. Windows and doors have some stained wood trim. The windows are not original, they're remodel, double paned with internal mullions. So the project before you this evening involves reconfiguration of the interior rooms and construction of additions at the west, north, and rear, so the front, sides, and rear, for a total addition of 1,113 square feet. The front would also have a new 176 square foot porch with a flat roof supported by columns. The new roof will add 3 foot 1 inch to the peak. The roof material will change from composite shingles to raised ridge black gray metal. All exterior windows and doors would be replaced. Exterior finishes would be smooth stucco painted off-white with black accents. And there would also be a 195 square foot uncovered deck at the rear of the residence that does not contribute to coverage. So the entire roof of the structure, in order to accommodate those additions, would need to be rebuilt, which would relocate the peak of the roof, and the new street-facing profile will be more symmetric, where the original has an asymmetric form. The windows and garage door will have a black finish, and the front door will be wood, and light fixtures presented as stainless steel gray. So at the top is the existing, and the middle picture shows the proposed outline of the building with the existing interposed in front of it, so you can get a sense of how the profile of the building will change. And on the left is the new shape of the roof. So the project is compliant with Sonoma Municipal Code. The maximum standard for height in this area is 30 feet. The proposed height is 19 feet and 2 inches. So even though the height of the structure will increase by approximately 3 feet, it will not exceed the height. The applicant has worked with the planning department to reduce the floor area and coverage of the project to comply with Sonoma Municipal Code. Maximum floor area is 0.35, and the proposed floor area will be 0.34. Site coverage maximum is 40%, and that's inclusive of structures and paved areas for vehicle maneuvering, so that includes the driveway, counts against coverage. The proposed site coverage will be 38.64%. Setbacks will be compliant on the front, sides, and rear. And while the structure was built in 1951, it does trigger evaluation as a historic resource. The department conducted a historic resources evaluation. The structure is determined not to be significant. The project complies with all the design review findings, and draft findings are available attached to the staff report. The project is eligible for a Class 3 categorical exemption to CEQA. This is not a Class 1 existing facilities exemption because the square footage of the addition adds more than 50% to the structure. So but the project does qualify for a Class 3 new construction exemption. Staff recommends that the design review application and action to approve a Class 3 categorical exemption be approved by the Design Review and Historic Preservation Commission if it agrees with the draft conditions of approval and findings provided in the staff report. And there are no unusual conditions of approval other than our standard conditions of approval.
Great, thank you. I would like to see if the commission has questions for staff and/or the applicant. Seeing none, I would like to ask for any public comment.
The applicant is online on Zoom.
Do you think that there's no public comment? Would we be ready to make a motion at this time?
Is that right? I'm sorry. I'll make the motion to approve. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Unless you want discussion, that's what I was.
I second the motion to approve.
And I think that we are ready to go ahead and take a roll call vote.
Commissioner Goldberg,
Aye.
Commissioner HAREN,
Aye.
Commissioner SOHN,
Aye.
Vice Chair JAHROMI,
Aye.
Chair AMAR.
Aye.
The motion passes 5002.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the applicant.
It's a beautiful home.
Indeed. Item 3.5, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve a design review application for a remodel and additions to an existing single-family residence and construction in the residential low-density zoning district located at 851 2nd Street East, including action to approve a categorical exemption of the state CEQA guidelines. And a staff report, please.
This project is on the west side of 2nd Street East. The general plan land use is low-density residential. It is also zoned low-density residential. It's within the central east area. It's not within any overlays. It was also built in 1951 as the previous project. It has 50 feet frontage on 5th Street West. So the existing site has a 1,425 square foot, one-story, single-family residence with a detached garage structure to the rear. It has white horizontal siding, gray roof shingles, and decorative roof brackets. It has a covered front porch under a roof overhang with wood post supports and a white painted brick perimeter wall. Window types are mixed. The structure is not terribly visible from the street because of the overgrowth of vegetation at the front. Excuse me. So the proposed project will enclose the existing 176 square foot covered front porch and build a 71 square foot addition to the front.
Take your time.
For a new entry. Can I take a short break?
Yes, of course. Natalie, would you like to continue reading that, or we could do that?
Yeah, I know this project.
Oh, thank you.
I know this project, it's fine. I can. So we're, okay. We were just talking about, it does enclose an existing 176 square foot front covered porch. There is a addition proposed that's only 71 square feet in addition to that new enclosure. Front will be reconfigured with a new roof and front-facing gable, and then again, new exterior doors, windows, roofing, and then vertical lap siding is being proposed. The new front windows or new window openings will replace that existing bay window, and then also some new exterior light fixtures. Basically, the whole exterior is being remodeled. Go ahead. So here is the site plan. 5th Street is on the right-hand side, so that's the front of the house. So again, filling in from the existing one-story residence and that front entry, and then proposing the new entry that you see, which is that addition that you see on the front end of the structure, which is your right side. Next. So here's your elevations from the side. These are existing and proposed. Existing on the top and the proposed on the bottom. So again, horizontal lap siding to vertical, new window placement. You'll see on the next slide, go ahead. You're going to see the new entry as well. So the rear is on the left side and the front entry new that's proposed is on the right side. These are the proposed exterior colors and finishes, so grays and black, and then light fixtures and the charcoal roof shingles. Like the previous project, it does comply with all the requirements under the zoning code. An HRE was prepared for this project, and the building was found not to be significant. This project does meet all the design review findings for approval today. And the CEQA exemption in this case would be a type 1, so 15301 CEQA guidelines. So for existing facilities, when we allow for additions in existing structures that do not result in an increase of more than the 50% of the existing floor area. So staff does recommend approving the design review permit at this address for construction of the street-facing addition, replacement of all the windows, doors, and finishes with a Class 1 exemption as proposed, subject to the findings and conditions of approval, and this project also does not have any special conditions of approval.
Thank you very much. I have a question for staff. Is this within the historic overlay district? No.
No, it is not.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to see if our commission has questions for applicant and or staff. Seeing none, I would like to propose that we move along to public comment. Are there public comments on this project?
So the applicant is in the, did you want to speak? The applicant is here.
Oh, if there was questions, my name is Lacey Akavides,
Thank
and
you.
I'm the designer, so I'm happy to answer any questions. We're really trying to preserve and actually create a more historic feel, because the home just hasn't been kept after, and so the neighbors are quite excited for us to bring it back to life, and and also kind of respect how beautiful Second Street is. So that's what we were trying to do and comply, obviously, with everyone's codes, but we're flexible. So if there was any issues, we're willing to compromise.
Thank you. Any comments for the applicant? Any questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Go again and ask if there are any further public comments. Seeing none, I will close the meeting to the public and bring it back to the commission for discussion. Commissioner SOHN?
I have none. Thank you.
Commissioner Goldberg?
Beautiful design. I have no other comment.
Vice Chair JAHROMI?
Well, thank you. That's a very nice little improvement to an existing structure. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And Commissioner HAREN?
Looks beautiful, plan is straightforward. Thank you, staff, compliant with Sonoma Code, no HRE, no questions at this time.
Thank you. I agree with my fellow commissioners. It's a very beautiful design concept you've come up with. I love the colors and the nod to the historical nature of the neighborhood. And that's all I would like to say. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item 3.5, subject to, actually there's none, so make a motion to.
There's just our standard conditions of approval.
Okay, yeah, subject to conditions of approval.
I second that.
And a roll call, please.
Commissioner Goldberg,
Aye.
Commissioner HAREN,
Aye.
Commissioner SOHN,
Aye.
Vice Chair JAHROMI, Chair AMAR.
Aye.
The motion passes 5002.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Can we take a 5-minute break?
Yes. I'm setting a timer. I'm setting a timer.
Okay, so someone help me. What is this card?
is gray.
That does not look like gray to me.
All right. Item discussion, consideration, and possible action to adopt a resolution approving an application for design review of George Bevan to construct an addition to the rear of an existing historic single-family residence at 316 East Napa Street, including action to approve a categorical exemption pursuant to Section 15301 of the state CEQA guidelines. Staff report, please.
All right, so the project is at 316 East Napa Street. It is also within the Central East planning area as the previous project was. It is within the historic overlay. It is zoned and land use is low density residential. It has approximately 78 feet of frontage on East Napa and is adjacent to Nathanson Creek. Some portions of the property are within the 30-foot bank setback, but the project is not. And the project is just under 20,000 square feet or 0.46 acres. It was built in 1886 as a farmhouse. So the farmhouse has a wraparound porch and it's Victorian era architecture with elements of Queen Anne and Greek Revival in the windows and decorative elements around the windows and porch. The windows are original double hung multi-light divided wood and front doors in trim are original. It is eligible for listing as a historic resource on the California Register for fulfilling criteria 3, its architectural significance. And the lower picture is from the street. The project itself is not all that visible from the street because of foliage in between the front fence and the structure. The request tonight is to remove an existing 275 square foot non-historic addition at the rear of the structure and construct a new 554 square foot addition that will be sheathed in white painted brick and have a flat roof. Would also remove the existing fireplace and chimney at the center of the structure. Would construct a new deck with railings and a privacy wall at the rear of the second floor over that new addition. That would feature a 3-panel folding door. All the rear windows and doors would be replaced, including installation of a new 6-panel folding door. All windows and doors on the south, street-facing and east elevations will be retained. One window on the west-facing elevation will be removed, and there would be new exterior paint and roof shingles on the outside of the building. So on the left is the existing, where we've outlined the existing addition that would be removed. And on the right is a site plan of the new proposed project with a new addition, which would be roughly in the same footprint as the existing addition. Now this is from the west and north. On the left, you can see that that one window on the upper floor on the west side will be removed, and that is to install a gas fireplace on the interior, which would be over the window. And the rear addition would be removed in favor of the new addition, which is largely the same standard dimensions as the existing. And at the north, you can see the chimney that will be removed and the new addition with the 6-panel sliding folding door on the ground floor and the 3-panel sliding folding door on the second floor balcony. So for the east and south, again, just reiterating what portion of the building is being removed and which is being retained. From the street on the right is the street-facing elevation, and you can see that the existing addition is visible from the street, and that will be replaced, but the rest of the street-facing elevation will remain the same. So the new project will be painted Chit Chat White by Evan Hill. Windows will have a black finish. Light fixtures will be at the rear will have gold. The front light fixtures will remain the same. The rear new windows will have a black metal pipe and cable railing at the balcony at the second floor, and a black metal awning over the new exterior deck. The project is compliant with Sonoma Municipal Code. It will not exceed floor area or site coverage. The height of parcels over 20,000 square feet or greater is 35 feet. The existing structure is at 31.5 feet. It was built before the adoption of our current zoning codes, and we would have to get a site survey to confirm the exact square footage, but it's only 150 square feet difference between being allowed to be 35 feet high and being required to remain at 30 feet. Regardless, the height of the structure is not changing, except for the projecting chimney will be removed. Setbacks are compliant and will remain so. It is outside of the 30-foot setback from the top of Nathanson Creek. Because the structure was deemed to be historic by an HRE, the city conducted a peer review of the original HRE, which concluded that the site is eligible as a historic resource. A Secretary of Interior Standards analysis was conducted as well on the proposed project. The project is consistent with the standards and will not diminish the resource as proposed. So here is basically a list of all of the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation. And in the report attached to the staff report, you can go and find how the architectural historian made all of these essentially findings. I want to direct your attention to 9 and 10, where it gives direction about new additions and exterior alterations, that they should not destroy historic materials, features, or alter spatial relationships that characterize the property. The new work will be differentiated from the old, in that the sheathing of the new work will be different and will be clearly of different construction and make and era from the existing historic. However, the color will be compatible with historic structure. The new addition will be undertaken in such a manner that if any of the addition was removed in the future, the form and integrity of the historic property and environment would be unimpaired. So this project has to make the basic design review findings and findings for its location within the historic overlay. Staff believes that all these findings can be made, and draft findings are attached to the staff report. Now, this project is eligible for 2 categorical exemptions to CEQA, Class 1 for existing facilities and Class 31 for rehabilitation of a historic resource. So the project would not be able to use a categorical exemption if the project was not consistent with the Secretary of the Interior standards for the treatment of a historic property. If the project were to alter character-defining features of the structure or change those features in any way, such that the Secretary of Interior standards could not be met, a more extensive environmental review of the project would be required, and an initial study would have to be conducted pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act. So staff recommends that the project can be approved and action taken to approve the categorical exemptions if the following conditions of approval are included. Specifically, that all work shall be performed in conformance with the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation of a historic resource. We are requiring that a pre-demolition meeting with the Community Development Director be required, and no demolition or removal of materials shall occur without prior approval of the Community Development Director. Any changes to the proposed plans shall be submitted to the Planning Division. All repair or replacement of historically significant materials shall be in a like-for-like, including material, style, type, etc. Changes to the proposed plans will require review for consistency with the Secretary of Interior standards and may require approval at a hearing of the Design Review and Historic Preservation Commission. So if the project changes, it will have to come back. And we'll be checking with the builder and contractor in advance of them touching the materials of the structure. And staff is available for questions. The applicant and designer are here as well.
Thank you. Questions for staff?
I actually have 2, Madam Chair. Does this project, or did it have to go through any other body but us?
No.
So no planning and zoning?
No planning commission. No.
If they have to come back with changes, it doesn't have to go through planning and zoning? Okay,
No,
thank you.
it will not. There's no variance or being requested that would
Got it.
kick it up to
Okay.
planning commission.
And then, thank you. And then the second question is, can you explain to me how the chimney, that's not being removed? There was a phrase, defining character. I can't express,
Defining characteristic.
yes. How does that not qualify?
Well, I think the designer can.
Okay. It's just a question. It's not
Can
a,
answer that question as
Okay,
well,
yeah.
but it
for my
doesn't.
knowledge, education.
Yeah, we can go over the character defining
Okay.
features. So these are the character defining features up on your screen.
Okay, that's helpful.
And this is from the Historical Resources Assessment and Secretary of Interior Standards Analysis. The chimney is not included.
Okay, thank you very much.
Other questions for staff? I'd like to invite the applicant. And please state your name for us.
Good evening. My name is George Bevan, with the architecture firm responsible for the design. Thanks for having me. Thanks for staff for bringing this forward to you guys this evening. I just wanted to add a little color to the kind of our design approach as we discuss this tonight. I was really excited. I've driven by this place, for a couple decades now, and I myself live in, an older home like this, and when we take on historical projects locally, it's super important to the community and the fabric, and you know, kind of excited to kind of feel what has happened before there, and interestingly enough, that this was used as a B&B for 20 years before the right owners bought it. My client, they're stewards of the land now, so you know, they bought it in 2016, and with all these nice renderings and the design and everything else, it's really hard to explain if you've walked by there or had the chance to go inside. It's a park back there. It's super beautiful, old school pool, which we plan to redo, and they're gonna put a lot of resources into this property. It's, you know, a lot of deferred maintenance, et cetera. So I'm really excited about that. Our approach was, you know, kind of kicked off with the original HRE that was done in 2015. So it's like, it's page 6. It's a few paragraphs into page 6, kind of highlighting those rear portions being insignificant. So we kind of took the approach in the spirit of, you know, the original house footprint, and their wishes of opening up the interior. They cook a lot, they entertain, and how can this addition kind of really address or bring in the outside, you know, just the garden and everything else, so and fit their lifestyle. So we kind of took it as like a, you know, you'll see those two walls essentially. It's like a garden wall, and our work, I love putting into our work like traditional materials in a very modern way. So this was perfect. I think it highlights both. It highlights the old structure as well as kind of a newer kind of take on things. Also roof deck, it's north facing, so all the glass, you know, getting as much glass back there proportionately, appropriately. So anyway, I think that's it. I'm open for questions.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Questions? All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks.
Any public comments? Seeing none, I'll close the meeting to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner HAREN?
First, 1886. Wow, big deal. Thank you, staff, for such a detailed report. Thank you, George, for going through kind of the thought process behind it. When we sit on this commission, I feel like we're here to follow the rules, but also give some thoughts. So just off the bat, the fact that an HRE was doing, and then you zoned in on the areas that were deemed insignificant, and how do we change that without impacting the reason why this place is still here from 1886. I think you zoned in on the right things. Everything is compliant to Sonoma City Code. I think it's so cool to sit on this board and be able to see what is going to take place in such a beautiful historic property, and done in a way that does not hinder the significance of the original structure. So I'm here for an aye, and thanks for taking us along on the process.
Thank you. Vice Chair JAHROMI?
I agree. It was a very nice touch on an existing building to improve it and bring it back to life in an order that you can enjoy it more than the older structure without compromising the integrity of the historical fabric of the building. And also I applaud your approach to the backside of the building with the additional glazing, which opens up the outside to the inside or vice versa, and without really reflecting on the negatively on the structure of the original house. So with that, I really like the project the way that it's proposed.
Thank you. Commissioner Goldberg?
I agree with my fellow commissioners. I love the juxtaposition of the old and new. One of the great things about living here is being able to enjoy the outdoors, so I really appreciate how you've done that and how you'll be embracing that. So, beautiful design.
Thank you. Commissioner SOHN?
Thank you. It's a beautiful property. I'm looking forward to supporting this project without any questions. And I will share that I'm excited to see the changes you're making. I've been a little envious of all of the properties tonight, frankly, and the changes that we're making that still are protecting the historical vibe. And so thank you for bringing this to us, and you'll have my support. Thank you.
Thank you for the project proposal. For me, it's a stretch too contemporary for me. So these are the things I thought of to just take it down a notch. These are things to consider. It's really not going to affect my approval of this project, but just to throw it out there for you guys to consider. Bringing the 3 windows on the left side elevation to match the height of the doors, it would take away that empty space there, and to me, it would look clean and not as obviously contemporary, and bring in some more light. Next suggestion would be to switch the material of the black metal awning and the metal railing to something done in wood, perhaps with some columns to support the porch, and I think that would be a fun way just to add a little more splash of the Greek revival back in there. And it would soften up the glass a bit, in my opinion, as well. So we don't have a hard metal everything in glass, and it would just soften it just a smidge. Those are my comments. And so, would a commissioner like to make a motion?
I suggest approving the application as submitted with the condition of approval and the conditions stated by the staff on the approval.
A second. And roll call?
Commissioner Goldberg,
Aye.
Commissioner HAREN,
Aye.
Commissioner SOHN,
Aye.
Vice Chair JAHROMI,
Aye.
Chair AMAR.
Aye.
The motion passes 5002.
Thank you. Good luck.
Kelly, these are the type of houses I'm looking for.
Okay. I know who to ask. Do we have items for discussion tonight?
There are no items for discussion.
Wonderful. Just kidding. Very good. Director comments and announcements.
I sent you all an email with a training that was available. It's tomorrow. No, Thursday. It's on Thursday. So I have signed up a couple of you that did respond to me. So if that is still of an interest, let me know. There are 2 parts to this one. The second one, I think, is the more important one. It's talking about district guidelines. So this whole series is about historic districts, and I know that that's been one of the questions for the group. So if that is something of interest, let me know. And when I tried to sign up this time, it limited me to 4. So it's filled right now, but I don't know that I'm actually going to be limited to that. So if there is more interest, I just need to know as soon as possible so that I can get more people registered. Or you can come and watch it with us because we're going to watch it in our conference room.
Can you remind me which organization is putting this on? So
This
I can
is
look
the
out for email?
California Preservation Foundation
Right.
webinar on historic districts.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And that is it that I have to present. I don't know what what will be in the next meeting as far as the number of items, and so I'll do what I typically do and fill it with more training for you all too. So if you have any ideas or thoughts or questions during your commissioner comments, if you could just let me know, that would be great.
Thank you. Commissioner reports and comments.
Other than to say thank you all for always allowing me to ask questions. I appreciate it.
Of course, that's why we're here. And so I will go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 7:50.